agree, but it's all right.
So what's going on, man? All right, we got a lot to talk about, right?
So much to talk about.
Yeah, we do. So, all right. Do we start with the obvious, the home? Do we swing for the fences right off the bat?
We might as well. I feel like that's what people care about the most. I mean, let's be honest.
All right. So, obviously, we're talking about coach of the Celtics, or at this point, maybe former coach of the Celtics. We don't really know. Ime Udoka, former NBA player. He was the first year as a head coach last season with the Boston Celtics. He did very well. Got us obviously to the NBA Finals. Was really looked at as one of like the bright young coaches in the league. Then all of a sudden the other day we hear that he has been suspended by the team, not the league now, the team, for the entire 2022 NBA season?
2022, 2023, yeah.
Yeah, so this entire upcoming NBA season. Now, all right, Gordon, I'll let you go. I'm curious because my first reaction when I first heard this was, okay, so it's interesting because he obviously did something bad if they're going to this extent, but I kind of ruled out like sexual assault and like in that type of stuff because I was like, if you do that stuff, you're fired. You're not suspended. You know what I mean? So I was curious. We found out some more information recently. What were your thoughts?
So I'm going to kind of, and I apologize for all the people that are listening to my voice right now. I got sick last week, and all of a sudden I swear it wasn't because I was screaming at Mac Jones getting hurt last week. But I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna keep that to our later conversation. But we want to stick to what's important right now. Yeah. Stick to some Celtics. When I first heard about our boy Ime, I thought to myself, let me look at this terminology, because when it comes to like big businesses and how things are run, terminology could not be any more important, right? When it comes to allegedly or what he's being convicted of or what court system it's going in. Right. And they repetitively said, and ESPN specifically made a point to make sure they stated that it was a consensual relationship. Granted, no one on ESPN said like, "Oh, this is kind of horseshit," because they can't gonna go one way or the other. Right. But they consistently said this was a consensual relationship between two coworkers, two married coworkers. Obviously married with their own relationships. And this is how it is, and that he's going to be kind of suspended for now, and then come back later. But that was when it first came out. And apparently there's been some change in the story, or maybe not change, but some development. So I don't know if you've heard this, Justin. I want you to give your sense. That's why you make this one point. Yep. But I've heard that it's not just one woman, it's multiple women that he's having consensual relationship with. And obviously when you think about consensual relationships, you think like, all right, it's a relationship. He's not, like you said, he's not raping anybody. This is all based off of, even though it's, scummy, right? You're cheating on your significant others. It's all well for your own personal needs, whatever. So it's all in-house stuff and stuff that you're really not really trying to talk to people. But you find out that it's multiple women. And then granted, I did find this one piece of information. It was Twitter. Who knows? Sometimes Twitter reveals some real stuff. Sometimes Twitter kind of just says whatever. But I heard that one of the married women that he had a relationship with ended up being married to someone in upper management for the Celtics organization. So it's like, is that Brad Stevens' wife? What's going on here? Because it seems like whoever's husband that he was having a relationship with was the person that was pushing the 1 year suspension, not like temporary suspension and without pay until we figured out the whole investigation, right? It's like, screw it, forget whatever that noise is. It's 1 year, and honestly, if it is that, Buddy's going to be fired after a set period of time, because there's no way you work with a guy, especially as your boss. No longer you work with the guy that banged your wife. Think about that. No, imagine coming to work every day. The guy banged your wife. He works for you, and no matter what you tell him to do, he can always just look at you and be like, "Yo, that's what I did to Sally last weekend." You know what I'm saying? Like, think about that. I heard that too. I don't rule it out, but part of me is like, we've heard so many rumors
for so many different people in Boston sports lore, like throughout years and years. It wouldn't shock me if that was just something that started going around. You know what I mean? Like I like to what do we have to confirm those reports? Because I heard the same thing, but like what is there to base it off of? You know what I mean? Like my instant reaction is, okay, so let's say it's true. Then he's definitely gone. The suspension was just definitely like, all right, let's handle this immediately with a non-permanent action, revisit it, talk everything over, and then put a final plan forward to move on from it. And that probably includes firing him and finding the next person. I'm sure they didn't, that's probably why they said he's suspended, because I'm sure they didn't want to fire him without having a replacement plan, ready to go. Because that obviously would just add fuel to the fire if they, fire him and then they're just in limbo trying to find the next coach, right? So I think it's just a Band-Aid right now, the suspension. He'll be gone. If he didn't do it, it's funny because like if he didn't do it, I really don't know what else it could have been. You know what I mean? Because if like we said, it wasn't like a rape or a sexual assault, because he would have just been fired on the spot, right? I don't think it was anything that was like detrimental to the team. Like, like maybe he could have been in a situation where he was like, blowing off practices or team meetings or like ending shit short, not prepping like he should be, maybe not visiting, people before the draft. I don't know. Just stuff that he could have been doing that he should have, that he wasn't doing because he was off screwing other people. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know, but I feel like it's got to be either one of those two things.
Yeah. So something that I think is actually kind of wild, and plethora of people actually brought this up, mostly Boston fans, because us, when it comes to our teams, everyone does a lot of research, so you can kind of see what's going on. Because trust me, 24 hours after this happened, I already had a picture of the person that he had a relationship with. Within 24 hours, within like less than 12 hours, I already had it. So I heard that this isn't new. Like, this has been going on for some time. Like, these aren't new relationships that he's having. And he has been told, I guess maybe one time off or like on a couple of times, like, hey, you got to cut this out. Like, you got to stop this. Like, things are going to happen if you don't stop this now. And now he's dealing with the ramifications because he couldn't stop banging his colleagues. I don't know about you guys, right? Everyone, granted, it's a consensual relationship. So, kind of do what you got to do. I can't say nothing about that. Granted, he's cheating on his wife. Not a great optic. But hey, who knows? We don't know him and Nia Long's. First off, fucking my goddess, if you're looking for a new man, I'm here. I don't got my voice now, but I got you later. But first and foremost, we don't know. They could have an open relationship. She could be banging some other guy. We don't know that. We don't know how their things work. And so it's like, so cool, whatever. He's out there doing his thing. But I don't know. I just think to myself, if I'm Ime, like, meet Gornacha, right? We have a set of rules. You can ask some of my teammates and some of the people that I get along with. I have a rule book. Rule number one, it's hospitality, right? No matter what you do, when you go to a party, you go to an event, you go to something, you bring something because it's a hospitable thing to do. Rule number 69, don't bang your colleagues. It's not that hard, man. Like, I get it, buddy. I work at Dell. I have a lot of beautiful people that walk around me on a day-to-day basis. You know what? I do? Put my head down, go to my computer, mind my own damn business. That's what you do. You're on the basketball court. Worry about Jason Tatum's 3-point, not what somebody's wife's walking down the court looking like. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. It's not that hard. I get it, Ime. I get it. But damn, man, we're about to not make it to the playoff. We're about to not make it to the finals next year because you couldn't keep it in your pants. I see, like, come on, man. I can't do it pisses me off, really.
Yeah, so, all right, how do we move forward from here, right? Obviously, the Celtics, like, do you think we take a step back? Like, you lose Ime, you got to give them a lot of credit, I think, for helping that team take the step from where they were at Brad Stevens. to, under his tenure in his first year, taking us to the NBA Finals, having us really look like a different team down the stretch. Obviously, we collapsed in the last couple games of the Finals, but I think Ime did a good job handling some of those players, some of those egos, managing our young talent, our veterans, etc. So you got to find a new guy. That obviously, does that worry you, given the fact that we just took a rookie coach and got to the Finals? Or do you think this sets us back?
So I'm not really too worried as of right now, because who knows, right? These guys could really just go on a huge search for a new coach and say, you know what, screw it. Let's squash our internal beef and keep Ime. Let's just, because this is not a league thing. This is a Celtics code of conduct. This is a completely in-house situation that we've made public. Who knows? Guys could easily be beta boys and be like, you know what? I care more about winning organization than you banging my wife. So they could happen. It's a possibility. Second off, the interim head coach they have in right now is basically Ime's number 2, and they have a good relationship and a good understanding of how Ime ran his stuff. And so what happens? He comes in, does the same stuff over and over again, probably has the same good vision, because I feel like Ime wouldn't put him in that position or give him those responsibilities if he didn't have kind of a similar outlook on how he wanted to run the team. There might be some little quicks, some tricks, but who knows? They could be beneficial at the end of the day. Ime came in 1 year and took us to the Finals. You know what I'm saying? And granted, there were some injuries, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but we did make it to the Finals in 1 year. So who knows? I'm not that worried. I'm hopeful that this thing gets squashed and he comes back and maybe it doesn't happen, but who knows? Me personally, I don't know if he's even going to come back at all.
Yeah, I doubt he comes back. I think at this point, even if everything that was said was untrue, I think the damage is done. You know what I mean? You've already suspended him for a year. It's bad optics. You're not going to keep him around, bring him back after that year. It's just a headache. Like I said earlier, I think the suspension is just their temporary, quick patch so that they can put a well-formulated plan out there and move on to the next guy, and get ready for the upcoming season. So, speaking of seasons that we're in currently, you referenced this earlier, our boy Mac Jones, and I say our boy loosely now because I'm starting to get have some questions about him personally.
Oh man!
And we could talk about this. No, we could talk about this. But the real story is that he hobbled off the field after the last play of the game, crying his eyes out, screaming in pain, hysterically crying. I want to emphasize that, hysterically crying. He needed help, getting off the field, finally getting down to the locker room, and the whole time, you see the pictures, the videos, he was just hysterical, in tears, screaming.
Screaming, not yelling, screaming. Hovering in pain.
Yeah. You thought this kid might never walk again, let alone play football again. And then we find out later on that night, if not the next morning, that he has a high ankle sprain. And I'm not saying that's not painful, but bruh, come on. You look like a little bitch right there. You look like a huge bitch right there.
That's a huge bitch. I swear I'm with you on that. I mean, granted, he's still our guy, but buddy, you played at Alabama. I get it. You didn't get touched your entire career, basically. You get hit one time, guy rolls up on your ankle, and you're screaming coming off the field. You're screaming, being carried by 2 people. It wasn't like he was hobbling himself. He's being carried by 2 people.
Yeah.
What are you yelling about, buddy? I destroyed both of my knees, and I still played the next play, and I just went down the next one. I really tried to play the next play. I destroyed my knee. I took a helmet to the inside of my knee. I tried to run, and I couldn't even keep my leg up, and I just went to the ground. You didn't hear me screaming. Yes, I was grimacing. Yes, I was in a little bit of a shock because of how painful it was, but you did not hear me screaming or yelling. Granted, the guy, I don't know, actually the guy that hit me was bigger than that guy, so I don't know, man. Mac Jones, you're the leader of our organization, and you just got put on the entire internet screaming like a broad.
Yeah, it was not a good look for him. And I'm glad coming from someone like you who played such a high level D1 football player, like you're backing me up on that. Because to me, like, I don't want to just talk out of my ass, but look, I played ball and like I sprained my ankle multiple times. I had lower leg injuries, but like, and maybe that was a really bad one, but like that just, I think of guys like Dak Prescott who got their ankle damn near snapped off their leg, right? And he got carted to the locker room, with way more composure in a way more positive demeanor than that, right? And you see it with a ton of other guys, and it's just like that shows like toughness. That's a leader. That's like a guy like in the Dam when he's at his worst moment. His season's over or close to being over. And he's still keeping it together, keeping it strong because that's what leaders do. He's mentally tough. He's already preparing himself for how he's going to get back on the field next year as soon as possible. Mac just like screaming and crying, hobbling off the field, and then like getting carried into the locker room while screaming and crying, and then finding out it's not even broken. It's just, oh man, yeah, it's a bad look. And speaking of bad looks, this is why I'm starting to have questions about him. To be honest, his toughness is the lead. Like, well, I do think it may be a problem after what we saw last week. That's not what I'm really concerned about. What I'm really concerned about, because he's shown he's played through some injuries, through some tough hits, right? I don't think he's ever really missed a game, maybe one. But my biggest concern is that he seems to be making reckless decisions. The same reckless decisions that we just chalked up to him being a rookie with a new offense last year. Okay, it's not to say he didn't move the ball well. It's not to say he didn't make some good throws and make some good plays and help keep us in the game. But at the end of the day, he threw 4 picks. And they were careless. They were some real careless throws. He could have had 5. Patrick Queen almost had a pick 6 on us off that little flat route out of the backfield that Damian Harris ran in the goal line. And Patrick Queen took it off the chest. That would have been a clean pick 6. Like, we've seen Mac Jones consistently make questionable throws, and a lot of them have led to momentum killing plays that have stopped good-looking drives, cost us games. Really shifted tides of games. Like, I'm starting to wonder, like, if he's going to get over that hump, because I was willing to say he was just a rookie last year and he's got to learn, but he's making the same mistakes at as frequent, if not more frequent of a clip this year. So what are you thinking?
I mean, I'm not going to say things are clicking now, because look at what they've had to do this offseason, how they've kind of ran their team, the team as a whole. They went this entire offseason without an actual offensive coordinator. And they spent the entire preseason going between 3 coaches making play calls. I get it. His decision-making is one thing. You can't blame his decision-making, the decision-making on the plays that are being called for him. But it's like, think about it when you're young and you're trying to get change. I mean, think about me, myself. I moved a lot when I was younger. I was in Weymouth, I was in Quincy, I was all over the place. But when you come in, even though I'm not 1 year old or I'm not 2 years old, at that point in time, 7 years have passed, and now it's like I'm starting new every single time I move somewhere else. Yes, he didn't move himself, but the people that are working with him have changed. And the chain of command has changed. Who he's calling, getting called for, has changed. Who he's working with closely. And so, hey, sometimes it's easy for people to do it. Sometimes it's hard. I don't know his high school background. I know in college he's with Saban. And you know how Saban runs his ship. He did the same thing every single week for 4 years, or for all the years that he was there. So now that he's going through this makeshift, kind of offense, this makeshift coaching staff, he's going to have to audible a little bit. He's a little stiff. He has to loosen up a little bit and try to figure it out. And so that's why I feel like mentally, he's trying to make some big plays, right? He's used the same system and doing what he's supposed to do, bomb. I think right now, he's like, you know what, screw it. If this is where it is, I'm trying to prove myself as a leader, as a franchise quarterback. It's not the system quarterback, a franchise quarterback that's going to be here, make a statement that I get it. I'm following Bill, but I myself can make plays on my own. Yes, it's backfiring on him, but I'm going to give him a little credit. Coaching's wild. He needs to take it easy, and he needs to stop crying.
Well, so look, all right, here's the comparison I would make, right? And we can talk about, I actually do want to touch on Russell Wilson in the Broncos, but
yeah, that was a terrible choice by you, by the way. So I'm just going to make sure people knew that. And Steve, both you and Steve made a terrible decision supporting that. So
look. I still think Russell Wilson's going to turn it on and is going to have a great second half of the year. But my point with him right now, through 3 games, that's an offense that's really struggled to score, right? They've struggled to move the ball. They've struggled to put points on the board. And that offense has looked very stagnant, right? It's easy to look at that situation and say it's a combination of not clicking, adjusting to a new offense with new receivers, and play calling trouble on the coaching end, right? It's very easy to look at that because Russell Wilson only has 1 turnover through 3 games, right? He's got 1 turnover through 3 games. So you look and you say, okay, well, the offensive production isn't there, but Russ isn't being reckless or careless or turning the ball over. They're just not putting it together on offense. That's a good quarterback and a good system that's stalling out for a multitude of reasons, some that hopefully can be quick fixes or get fixed as the season goes along. But then I look at Mac Jones and the Patriots, and I see that Mac, going back to last year and continuing into this year, struggles with his turnovers. Multiple interceptions, a ton of interceptions. I mean, he had 4 alone in week 3. I think that puts him on like 7, for 7 interceptions in the year, something like that, 6 or 7 through 3 games. And when you add that on top of the fact that the offense is not clicking, he's dealing with a couple new personnel, and the coaching is questionable, Patricia and Joe Judge, then it's making me seem like in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this is symptomatic of a larger issue. It's not just those 3 things. Mac is playing a significant role in this, this negative outcome as well. Do you see what I'm getting at with these 2 situations? How it's a little different?
No, I don't.
You know what I mean? So that's what's making me worry about Mac. It's like I get there's these external factors, but at the end of the day, his own play to me isn't backing up what would say that it's just because of these other things.
Do you want me to tell you something? I'm going to say this right now. And we might lose followers because of this. We might lose Boston fans because I'm saying this right now.
Okay.
This is pretty bad. I'm not going to lie. But if you look at the tape, we are starting to look like a New York Jets team right now.
Oh. Young
quarterback, multiple interceptions, guys hurting, crying like a girl. Our offensively weak receivers, no one too great. Or one guy, Jacoby Myers, is hurt. Defensively, we have some potential. We have moves to make, but we're missing something a little bit on the secondary. I don't know. If you look at just what that is and then comparatively look at the New York Jets, we're basically the same team. You know what I'm saying? Like, other than the coaching staff, we're basically a similar team. And look at us. We're basically tied for 3rd place right now. And what's even worse, we lost the Jets. We're last in the division, even if we have a similar record. So it's just like, it's not looking good for Boston this season. Granted, it's week 3, right? It's early. But the injuries that we have already with our playing, with their call choices, either they're gonna call, depending on this season, they're calling for somebody's head, right?
Yeah.
Depending on this season.
Oh yeah.
The question is, who is it? Is it Bill? Is it Bill? Are they gonna come for Bill the other season? Is it gonna come in? Are they gonna be like, hey man, you got to go back to getting a new coordinator. You got to figure it out. You hired Patricia and Judge back, who have had losing careers as head coaches, and all of a sudden we want to pretend like we're going to be winners now. I don't know. I get it. But damn, man, someone's head's going to get cut off if we don't win at least 10 games this season.
Yeah, I think winning 10 games is going to be a long shot at this point.
Week 3, it's already a long shot to win 10 games.
And you know what?
That out.
And when you look,
how many weeks is we have in the regular season? Justin,
it's 18 now, right?
It's 18 now. And we're at week
games,
3,
yeah.
and it's already a long shot for 10 games. Think about that.
Yeah. This is this is like a weird situation where, I mean, when I looked at the schedule at the beginning of the year and I was trying to map out, the Patriots' potential record, you go through and, I gave them their appropriate losses. I gave them some wins and some games that, could be tough, 50-50. But there were a couple games in the schedule that you just kind of, as Patriots fans and as football fans, you just kind of chalk that up as a win and just take it for granted. Some of those being the Jaguars, the Lions, the Jets, just a few of those teams to give some examples. The Chicago Bears. This is no.
Hold on, Justin. You can't say nothing about the Jaguars right now. They could not be playing better in football.
Wait, they're sneaky good. That's what I'm getting at. Is like when you go through the Patriots schedule at the beginning of the year, you're chalking up like 4 or 5 wins in that win column to these teams at the beginning of the season. Teams like the Jaguars, the Jets, the Lions, the Bears, etc. But now all of those teams are looking as good, if not better, than you. And I mean, the Bears. I think the Bears are. I think the Bears stink, but they're 2-1. They're 2-1. Okay.
Give credit where credit's due.
The Lions clearly have shown they can compete and that offense can put up points. The Jets have clearly shown that they can compete. The Jaguars are showing that they're actually a really good team. Hold on. I say give credit. I didn't give that. I didn't say give them the whole shot. I'll say they're all right. We'll say they're a good team. We can't say really good yet, but that's a good team.
24-0 against a shitty Colts team. Matt Ryan needs to fucking retire. Yeah, no shot. Forget that. But whatever. But last week's win, who did they play against?
They played the Chargers, and I know Justin Herbert was a little beat up, but they beat him up pretty good. Like it was not a close game.
And Joey Bosa was hurt. Joey Bosa got hurt too.
Yeah, but that game was not close at any point. Like the Jaguars dominated start to finish.
It's just like for a team of the Chargers, and I'm not going to consider them like your version of the Broncos, basically a team that you kind of double down on and they just suck at the end. But but I will say, I still think the Chargers have hope. I think there's just some mishap happened. I mean, even look at the Bills, they kind of pooched it. But that's what happens when you those 3 passes and you don't run the ball. They just kind of assume pass the entire time. But I don't know. You go on your point when it comes down to the teams that you think you got easy wins on that we don't have easy wins and we're hurt. It makes you rethink of the schedule, makes you rethink the season. And it's definitely, I know we as Patriot fans, we've been blessed. 20 years of winning seasons, 20 years of plus 10 wins, and just true greatness. And we understand that having less than 20 years is just bad. But I will say first and foremost that if this isn't the first year we don't get 10 wins, then it's fine. We will live, we will survive. But we as Patriot fans have a franchise history of being superior athletes and coming back from losing games. So what's going to happen? We're going to come back, whether this season or next season, we're going to come back and we'll become the superior team again and forget the Bills. Whatever, man. I get it. I might get a lot of harassment this season in New York, right? I'm in here talking all kinds of junk. I'm going into these New York bars wearing my Celtics hat, my freaking Celtics t-shirt, and my Chara jersey, and I'm talking all kinds of junk.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I will take that on my shoulder because I know that we will have a better season coming up. I know it. My voice is coming back right now. Look. You hear this thing? This is my devotion to our New England team.
I was gonna say, you found your voice. But you know what? It's sad because the defense looks good right now. We definitely have some good young players in that defense. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season shakes out. We still don't know how long Mac's going to be out for. We know that Brian Hoyer is the slated starter. So, we still, we know we can only expect so much out of him. We still got Bailey Zapp on the roster. We really don't know what his deal is. So, it's going to be shaky, man. It's going to be real shaky, I think. And I think the Patriots at the end of the year, when it's all said and done, are going to be lucky to have 6 or 7 wins under their belt. I really do. I think they're think they're going to be getting a pretty good draft pick next year, which I'm sure they'll blow.
Which I'm sure they'll blow. Yeah,
they will definitely blow.
Which they'll definitely trade down for a very average pick.
Yeah, they'll trade it for like a third and a fifth and wind up in the third taking some guy who could have gotten like in the seventh.
No. They're not even going to take a third pick. They're going to trade that third pick for a seventh round pick and picking up a D2 offensive lineman.
Yeah, it's going to be more pick inception, and eventually the first round pick's going to get turned into like 3 7s. It's just it's just bananas. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Other news from around the league, former Patriots staple in offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels, part of the reason why Matt Patricia and Joe Judge are stepping in and doing, what they're doing this year, and like we said, not doing it well. Josh McDaniels is now out in Vegas with the Raiders.
Vegas.
This is a team that a lot of people thought, were going to kind of put it together this year. They brought in Devontae Adams. They brought in some other pieces in that defense. They kind of, they kind of seemed like they were poised to take that next step, and they find themselves the only winless team currently in the NFL, sitting at 0-3, in one of the toughest divisions in football, with one of the toughest schedules in football. And you just got to imagine that if there's anything we can rest our hat on, it's the fact that they just look bad, huh?
I mean, you tell me, Justin. I get it. You had Devontae Adams on there, one of the better receivers. He's going to get yards. He's going to score for you. But just because you can score doesn't mean you can play football. And, I mean, we have a lot of things going on with that offense. I mean, Derek Carr is I think he's an okay quarterback. Honestly, I put him maybe slightly above Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think much of Derek Carr. Especially I watched him at that Hard Knocks that one season. It was bad, man. But he was on camera trying to put baby oil. I was like, relax, dude, relax. Take it easy. But I don't know. There's something about those Raiders that they're just, they have – I feel like if you look at their roster, sizes, at the characters they have in that team, you would think they would have the potential to do more than they are. But who knows? Is it an organizational thing? Is it even something as smart as not being understanding of McDaniels and how he wants to run a team? Think about it. It's everyone their first year. Even Dan Campbell, when he came on the Lions in that first year, what happened? They won like four or 5 games.
No. His first year, they only won, I think it was 1 or 2, wasn't it? Or was it 4 or 5? Maybe it was 4 or 5. I think you're actually right about that. I think you're right.
But it's only like a couple. They won maybe a less than a handful of games. And look at them now. They look like one of the more premier offenses they have. They have Aiden Hutchinson, looks like a guy that played at like Archie's. Then all of a sudden he's one of the biggest players right now.
Right, dude. I did. If we could pause for a second, I thought he was going to be a huge bust and that he was so overhyped.
He's so small. College. I've seen a guy look like him from New Haven. He didn't even play football. Like same beard and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what? And all of a sudden the guy's actually like kind of good. I'm like, are you slippery? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, no. A lot of people trying to call him like the next JJ Watt or whatever. I don't know.
Relax.
Yeah,
even JJ Watt wasn't that great when he first came in. JJ Watt was a guy that worked hard. Because there's always those guys, right? There's the guys like the Jadeveon Clowney who are just freaks of nature that are just freaking good. And there's the guys that work hard to become good. JJ Watt's a guy that wasn't good, worked really hard to become good. So I give him credit. I would never call him a freak of nature or nothing like that. I will call Micah Parsons a freak of nature. Like that dude. I've liked him since when he got drafted. I didn't expect him to be that good, but he's that good.
He's one of the best defensive players in all of the NFL, period. He's very good.
Literally.
Very good. I like him a lot. Speaking of which, that game last night, the Giants, their hopes of being the third unbeaten team left in the NFL came to an end. In the Meadowlands, they hosted Dallas. At the end of the day, I think the Giants reverted back to what we all know the Giants to be, which is the Giants. And that's just a team that finds a way to lose games. Daniel Jones will make a turnover in a big moment. Someone will get injured. And they disappoint. And that's just like the definition of the Giants the last few years. I thought that 2-0 was a fluke. Not surprised to see the Cowboys come out there and take it. But to be completely honest, I think both of those teams, both sitting at 2-1, a lot of hype around both of them. They're both playing for wild cards because them Eagles, your pick, those Eagles look good, huh?
What did I tell you? First off, I want to make a quick statement. Cowboys, Giants, trash, look trash. The only thing I needed last night was one more field goal from Gano, and I would have won by 1 point, but he couldn't do it for me because he's fucking trash.
But, he did go off, though. He must have had 13, 14 fantasy points already.
Well, yeah, he did go off. He did go off. He got me points, but I literally needed one more kick. I lost by 2 points.
Damn.
Wild. So I'm going to let that go. But first off, those birds are looking they're taking flight right now. No pun intended. They are taking flight. Literally, well, no, screw it. All pun intended. They are taking flight right now. It is crazy. The only thing, though, they're missing one thing right now. Justin, do you know what they're missing that will make them literally one of the big D team in the league?
The Eagles?
Yeah.
Is it like a dominant running game? Like a running back?
Yes. No, seriously.
Yeah.
It's not even a dominant running back. It's like their running game is just so half-assed.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? I get it. You have two threats, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And which is actually kind of wild to me that people wanted to say Devontae Smith was going to be a bust this year. If you look at the statistics, they're like, sophomore year, he comes in. He's not the number one guy. Will he be able to do it? Bro, he's literally their leading receiver, even though A.J. Brown's the number one. He's their leading receiver over there. Trust me, I picked him up knowing that people were going to get A.J. Brown. I knew this was going to happen. But silly me, bought it on Miles Sanders. And he got me some points the first week. But it's just been their run game is just not really there yet. And so what happens, right? You go against a team that has a full-on defense. Like they say they played the Bills. I don't know. I don't even think they're going to play the Bills unless they make it far. But say they play the Bills. Bills can be able to stop the run and they're going to stop the pass. What happens if you can't run? They're just going to crush you from the secondary standpoint. And you can't have that. So if you're going to be a true Eagles team, and you're a true superior team, you got to be able to do both. And they're not the only ones. Screw it. I literally brought them up. The Bills, too. The Bills and the Eagles are two of my favorite teams in the league right now. And they both have two of the worst run offenses. Come on, man. The Bills, you can't have Josh Allen throwing 63 passes in the game. You can't have that. He's going to throw his arm out with 18 weeks, Justin, 18 weeks?
Well, what's the common denominator with both those teams? High-flying offenses, mobile quarterbacks, and a lack of a stud at the position, right? So, that's kind of – but I will say to the Bills' credit this year, they've been a way more balanced attack in the sense that they have tried to run the ball. They're not necessarily doing it super successfully, but I remember, I watched them in that first game against the Rams, and I was like, damn, they're running the ball a lot, utilizing these backs a lot. And I think that's what they needed. I think they needed to be a little bit more balanced and kind of, keep defenses on their toes because eventually, you can only step back and fire it so many times before, they lose respect for that rushing game. Who is your biggest surprise and your biggest disappointment so far through week 3?
For teams or for fantasy players?
Let's go teams.
Teams. Biggest surprise. Honestly, I don't really have a true surprise. I mean, if you look at all the teams that are actually balling out, at first, the Falcons were going to be my biggest surprise. I watched them week 1, and they looked so clean. Kyle Pitts was balling out. Mariota looked like he was back in Oregon. But you watch them the last couple weeks, and they looked like ass. Everyone's. I've never seen so many teams get exposed so early in a season, right? But even though I was just cussing the Giants out a little bit ago, but the one thing that they have been able to put together well, now that Sterling Shepard's hurt, that might be a little bit different, but they put together both a receiving offense and a running offense. Because what happens, right? Saquon Barkley's gotten injured every season. And because they can't run the ball, they pass, and Danny Dimes throws the ball away. But if you can trust that Saquon can play a whole season, he's running over 100 yards each game, they have hope. Giants have hope. We'll see what happens now they have more injuries. But honestly, big surprise for those guys. And big letdowns. Honestly, I'm going to give two teams, just like I gave two teams right there. I'm going to give two teams. The Packers and the Buccaneers. Those guys are letting me down. And granted, it's not completely like them not playing well as a team. I think they have so many internal problems that it's causing them problems. Green Bay. Rodgers doesn't even trust his receivers. They have one guy that came back, Lazard, that I started last week, who got me a touchdown in like around 50 to 60 yards receiving. Not bad, but there's some older guys on there like Sammy Watkins, some other guys that just couldn't pull it through. They have no real run. I mean, was it Aaron Jones who's their running back?
Yeah, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon.
Yeah, AJ Dillon, who they've done some stuff, but that's not truly like Packers offense. And then you got guys like Tom Brady who are trying to pull stuff through. They got so many injuries, suspensions. Tom Brady has marital problems, but what's new? Like, it's just so much going on. And for those guys to play that level of football on Thursday night, kind of embarrassed. Not what I wanted to watch, and it's really unfortunate. So, two letdowns, Packers and Bucks right now, big time.
Yeah, I like both of those. I'm gonna say, for myself, I think the two biggest surprises I'm going to agree with you on the Jaguars, and I'm going to say the Dolphins. I didn't buy into the hype this year. I thought they were going to be disappointing. I thought Tua would be faking an injury, fed up with the whole situation by this point. I didn't believe Tua was the guy. I didn't believe in this new coach, this Mike McDaniels guy. I just thought this was a team that was a lot of hype, and they were going to come out and fall flat in their face and just be the Dolphins again. But they're legit. They're very legit. They're very talented. This coach is legit. Tua is legit. This dual threat of Tyreek and Jalen Waddle is legit. They got a good defense. Got a bunch of other good weapons. We just talk about Jalen and Tyreek, but they're running backs. I mean, they got their depth, the deep receiver guys like Cedric Wilson. I think that's a really good team. And again, the Jaguars. I've been a big. What's the word I'm looking for? I've been very down on Trevor Lawrence. I don't like him. I didn't think he was a good quarterback, and I'm still not ready to change my opinion yet. But so far, he's doing a very good job of proving everybody wrong, and he's playing very well. The Jaguars look very good. I think Doug Peterson was a great hire for that organization.
Great hire. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, very good job. The two biggest disappointments, it's a little bit tougher. The first one I'm going to say is, I'm going to say the Raiders because I think a lot of people thought the Raiders would be better. I don't know if I necessarily bought into the hype that they'd be very good, but I didn't expect them to be 0-3 and kind of looking as flat as they do. The other team is, I'm going to say the Cardinals. The Cardinals, that's a team that I look at, and like I actually did have kind of high expectations for them. But they just cannot seem to get it together, man. Kyler Murray looks very inconsistent. That whole team just looks very dysfunctional. They don't have a defense to speak of. Still plagued by injuries. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury's the guy. Those are the two teams I'm going to go with.
You know what? I want to give a new two. You know what? Now that I've digested what I just said,
yeah,
and I've really taken it in. Granted, I do think the Bucs are just kind of like a shadow of themselves. You can see by Tom Brady's meme that he looks like his life is literally being sucked out of his life, and Aaron Rodgers just hates being there with his receivers. I'm gonna say this new one. These two new ones. Pleasant surprise, the Lions. The Lions are actually playing really well. I like their running game. I like how they're actually playing the game. And for a team that came straight out of Hard Knocks, they're doing a lot better than most teams coming out of Hard Knocks, which, usually the Hard Knocks curse are usually pretty But like I'm bought in on what Dan Campbell has, and I love their game. biggest upset, man, dude, Matt Ryan and the Colts. Those guys just freaking stink, man. Oh my! You would think with Jonathan Taylor and how they run their business, they'd be a lot better. But I really can't stand watching Matt Ryan play for the Colts right now. It's honestly it's kind of nauseating, like to a certain degree. I really had him as my bench quarterback, and the first half he had me at minus like 2 points. I'm like, how do you have minus 2 points at halftime? I had to drop him for a better defense. I dropped him for Bengals defense. Literally, couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, he looks super slow and old this year, and I don't know. Maybe that team will pick it up. They got a big win, obviously, this weekend, going out and beating Kansas City in Kansas City. But I'm sorry, they were at home.
I don't care about that game. That game was a mess. They Kansas City, they still need Tyreek Hill. All right.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that we want to get into on this episode of The Trenches?
I mean, I want to give one shout out. I know it's been like a week or two, but my man Ime Udoka, captain of the Bruins. He went back to the Islanders, but you know what happened? He came back home to retire. That man, our captain, tallest player in hockey history with the hardest slap shot from mid-ice. Our captain is Ime Udoka. I want to give my respect to that man. Retiring his career as a Bruin, retiring as a leader, and retiring as a historian. Because you know why? He's going to go in the books as one of the best. So, Pat, caps off to you. Caps off to you, Ime Udoka. I wish you a great and fruitful, retirement. Hope you become the coach, and you're so ready to box. So that's what I wanted to end on.
All right. As you all noticed by now, SK wasn't with us. He had parent-teacher conferences tonight.
Guy's a teacher.
Hope to have him back for the next episode. Other than that, it's I think there's definitely going to be a lot more to talk about next week. We're going to have updates in the Ime situation. Probably have more news, more information about that. Will there be a successor? Do they have a new plan in place? Do we find out new information, new details? Mac Jones, we're still waiting to hear on the status of just how many games he will miss. It's likely he'll get surgery, but that's not confirmed yet. Could he be out the entire season? And then obviously, how the rest of this the NFL continues to unfold. We got Week 4 kicking off on Thursday night. The Miami Dolphins head to Cincinnati to visit the Bengals. The Bengals are favorites in that game. That should be interesting. But we'll have a lot more to talk about next week on The Trenches. I'm JFein, Gordon. You want to plug your wine?
Yes, sir. I'm like, hey, man. You know what you want, all right? Worldwide Wines, world_wide_wines. Instagram page of mine that I have had for the last few years now. And it's all about making sure that the people, the regular people just like us, us Boston guys, the blue-collar people that deserve to have wine just like everyone else. Wine isn't for the rich, it's for everyone. And so the page is to really teach it up for everybody to be able to learn a little bit, something here, something there, read a label, really teach it that, hey, this is a phenomenal bottle. Got it for $17. You don't need to pay $1,000 for a great bottle. So, hey, come visit the page, come with a little information. I'm going to put out some new content coming out soon. I actually just put a poll out today trying to figure out if we wanted to do, start doing tastings and maybe have people. I'm in New York, but hey, man, I'm in Boston all the time. Jay knows. Maybe have it at the Hedge Better office, having a little bit of wine tasting when we get that recorded. So, hey, here, to kind of really teach the world that wine's for everybody. And let's keep it like that, all right?
All right, let's get it. We'll catch you guys next week.
Come on, man. Why wine when you can drink wine? Cheers, baby.
Tell that to Mac Jones, who couldn't stop whining. Later, guys.
Easy.